Good morning, dear students. Today we will start with a new concept of the chapter electric charges and fields. So today we will start with the conductors and insulators. So we are going to start with the conductors and the insulators. So now, depending upon the type of electron, we classify the materials into conductors and insulator. So now what are conductors and insulators? All the metals are conductors. Metals like iron, copper, gold, aluminum, silver are the good conductors. Silver is a very good conductor, and whereas a human body, a living tree, these all come under conductors. And what are insulators? Plastic, dry wood, glass, all these are insulators. Now, why are these classified into conductors and insulators? The simple answer is these conductors allow electricity to pass through them, whereas insulators do not allow the electricity to pass through them. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Conductors allow the electricity to flow through them, whereas insulators do not allow. This means the charges flow through them. The charges flow through these materials, whereas the charges do not flow, do not flow in this material. So the materials which allow the charges to flow through them are called conductors, whereas the materials which do not allow the charges to flow through them are called insulators. Now let us consider metal like copper. Okay, to understand better about the conductors and insulators, let us consider this metal, copper. So we all know copper is a material, okay, or a matter. So it has molecules. If there are molecules, then there should be atoms. Okay, we all have studied the structure of atom in the previous class. So what does an atom have? An atom has a nucleus and the and the electrons revolving around the nucleus. Okay, so these are the electrons revolving around the nucleus. So these nucleus are very tightly bound with a these electrons are very tightly bound with the nucleus. See, this electron 1 is very tightly bound, whereas this 2 and the second electron is also bound with the nucleus, so on. So we have plenty of protons in nucleus and plenty of electrons revolving around the nucleus. So this is the structure of an atom. Okay, even the copper has atom, and these electrons are present, these protons and neutrons are present in the atom of a copper. But interestingly, along with these electrons which are bound to the nucleus, in metals or in conductors, we find few more electrons. Okay, few more electrons we find. Those are called as the free electrons. Free electrons. Okay, these electrons do not do any work. The work like revolving around the nucleus or having a tight bond with the nucleus, these electrons do not do any such work. They are freely roaming from one atom to another. Here is one atom and here is one atom. These electrons keep moving from one atom to another, or you might find one more atom here, they move here from this atom to this atom. The work of these free electrons is simply to move from one atom to another in the metal, or say copper. Okay, they just move inside the copper material from one atom to another. Along with these electrons which are revolving around the nucleus, we find these free electrons. Such electrons, okay, such free electrons, what they do. Okay, and one more point, these free electrons are only found in conductors. Okay, these free electrons are only found in conductors. They are not found in insulator. You don't find these free electrons in insulators. They are only found in conductors. Now when you take a metal and connect, see, now we'll take this metal. Okay, copper is a metal. Okay, I'll write it here. Copper is a metal. So when you take this metal and connect a wire, okay, connect a wire like this, when you take a metal and connect a wire, okay, it is nothing but, see, when you connect a wire and allow the current to flow through it, okay, and you allow the current to flow through it. What do you mean by allowing a current to flow through it? That is nothing but you allow the flow of charges through the copper. You allow certain types of charges to flow through the copper. The flow of uh, charges, this flow of charges attract these free electrons. The flow of these free electrons in turn produces electricity. What happens when the charge is made to flow in the copper? These free electrons get attracted towards the charges, and hence the electricity is produced in conductors. Therefore, wherever there is a flow of charges, we call them conductors. And in insulators, we don't find free electrons. So whenever you pass a charge through this, there are no free electrons to conduct any electricity. So these materials are called as insulator. Okay, conductors allow, so what do we conclude? Conductors allow the flow of electricity, whereas insulators do not allow the flow of electricity through them. Okay, there are electrons in insulator. That doesn't mean there are atom in an insulator. There is a nucleus in an insulator. There are electrons in the insulators. These electrons are revolving around the nucleus, but there are no free electrons in the insulators like in conductors. Okay, cleared with the concept of conductors and insulators? Okay. If there are any doubts, you can message me, or you can comment in this video. Okay, now we'll see the next concept, the very important concept, that is methods of charging. Methods of charging. Methods of charging. Now this one is an important concept. We'll see how can we charge the material, that is how can we charge the conductors and insulators. So there are three methods of charging a conductor and an insulator. First one is the friction. The first method is the friction. The first method of charging is by the friction. What happens in this friction? What happens when you mechanically rub two particles against each other? Okay, when you mechanically rub something like some two particles against each other, a mechanical energy is converted into heat energy, right? When you rub something, you produce heat, right? When you rub your palm, you produce heat. Similarly, when you rub two particles, mechanical energy is converted into heat energy. That energy is gained by the outermost electron. See, what are outermost electrons? This is a nucleus. Okay, these are electrons revolving around the nucleus. Okay, so this is nucleus. There are electrons revolving around the nucleus. The outermost electrons gains the heat energy, the heat which is produced by rubbing, which produces energy. That energy is gained by this outermost electrons, and the electrons come out of this body and get transferred to the another body which is in contact, right? So what happens in friction? When you rub two particles against each other, a mechanical energy is converted into heat energy. That energy is gained by an outermost electron, okay, and this electron comes out and get transferred from one body to another body. So this is called the charging by friction, and this happens only in insulator. Okay, this happens only in insulators. So you may get a question, how the insulators are charged. By what method the insulators are charged? You can see by the method of friction. Okay, friction method of charging by friction is not applicable to conductors. So this is applicable only to the insulators. We studied in the previous class, when we rub two materials, friction takes place. The transfer of electrons we studied in the previous class. Therefore, the same is applied in the method of friction. When we rub two materials, friction takes place, heat is produced, and heat energy is taken by the outermost electron, and the electron get transferred from one body to another body. And here, the body which loses electrons becomes what? We studied in the previous class. The body which loses electrons becomes positively charged, whereas the body which gains electron becomes negatively charged. Hence, the body is charged using the method of friction, and the body should be insulator. This happens only in insulators. Okay. Now we'll come to the second method. Second method, that is charging by conduction. Charging by conduction. The method of conduction is only used for conductors, okay, because for conduction the electron should flow through the materials. For the method of conduction we need the electrons to flow through the material, that is the current should flow through the material. There should be a flow of current through material, and that happens only in case of conductors but not in the case of insulators. So this method is used only for the conductors. Now we'll have a look at some important concept. Okay, this is very important to understand the method of conduction and the next method, that is induction. So before going to understand the conduction and induction, let us understand this concept. Okay, let us consider a hollow cylinder. Now I'll draw a hollow cylinder. Let us consider a hollow cylinder. Okay, so this is a hollow cylinder. Now what I will do, I will put some electrons inside this. Okay, here I'll bring one charged stick or something. Okay, one charged stick I'll bring, and I'll charge this thing, cylindrical body. I'll put electrons in this. Tell me, will they stay inside? Will these electrons stay inside here, everywhere, somewhere inside? No, they don't reside inside. It is very interesting. When you put electrons in the cylinder, okay, when you put an electron in the cylinder with a charged particle, these electrons don't reside or stay inside. They come to the outer surface like this. They come to the outer surface. Why? Do you know why? Why do they come to the outer surface? Because we have learned like charges repel. Okay, like charges repel. See, when you put electrons in this, there are only electrons inside, okay, and they start to repel. When you put two electrons in a conductor, they start to repel each other. When they repel each other, they start moving far, okay, they start moving far. They reach the maximum limit, that is the outermost level. When they start repelling and start to move, they reach the maximum limit, that is the outermost layer of the conducting material. They don't go out of the material. They don't go. Why they don't go outside the conducting material? Because outside there is a vacuum. Okay, vacuum. Outside there is a vacuum, and air is a insulator. So they don't go outside the material. The maximum limit for the electrons to repel and move is the outermost layer of the conductor. And what about insulators? In insulators, is the same thing happens? I mean, when you put electrons in an insulator, the same thing happens? No, we'll see that. Now consider a wooden cylinder. Here we considered a metallic cylinder. Here we'll consider the wooden cylinder. So the same thing I'll do over here. I'll put some electrons in this insulator. Now what happens? Let us see what happens. Now the electron starts repelling each other. Same, because like charges repel each other. When I put electrons in this, the electron starts to repel over here. But because it is an insulator, it does not allow the electron to move. Okay, the insulator does not allow the electrons to move, whereas in conductors the electrons started repelling and moving, and they came to the outer surface of the material. Whereas in insulators, The electrons do not move because the insulator does not allow the electrons to move. They are localized. Okay, the charges are localized and they remain inside. Therefore, it is called as an insulator. Whereas here it comes to the outermost layer of the material. Therefore, it is called as a conductor. Okay, by understanding these two concepts, we'll go to the process of conduction. We'll understand what is a method of charging by conduction. Okay, did you understand the difference between conduction and conductors and insulators? How the insulators are charged? By what method the insulators are charged? It is very simple, friction, and the conductors are charged by the process of conduction and induction. So now we'll come to the process of conduction. Now let us consider two conductors. Okay, now let us consider two conductors. Let us name this as A and let us name this as B. In this, the conductor A is charged. The conductor A is charged. The electrons have come to the outer surface. Okay, conductor A is already charged. Now I want to charge B. Okay, I want to charge B. In A electrons have see in A the electrons have moved outside. Right. Now what happens? Now these electrons are trying to come out. They have already reached the surface and now they want to come out to the another conductor. So I can give you a very simple example. You are in a room. Say you are in a room with your friends or some people. You are sitting freely here. Okay, you are here and you are sitting with your friends. Now what I do, I'll send many other students to occupy the room. So there are I merge all the divisions, or say some college gathering, all the other college students have come, and you were here, you and your college friends. Now other college students have come to the same room and the room has become very crowded. It is too crowded now. Now what I'll tell, there is one more classroom next to next to this, and that classroom is empty. People can go from this classroom to this classroom. So what happens? It is very crowded. So the students try to come out and occupy the seats here in this classroom. Similarly, what happens? The electrons are overcrowded over here, so they have reached the maximum limit, that is the outer layer of this conductors. Now when I bring one more conductor which is not charged, which is empty, and what happens? These electrons try to come to this conductor. So now what will you do? You either connect it with the conducting wire or you bring these two conductors in contact. Okay, either you connect a conducting wire, or the wire should be also a conductor. Either you connect a wire between these two conductors A and B, or you bring them in contact. So now what happens? These electrons gets transferred to this electrons. Hence, the body is charged. Hence, both the bodies get charged. Did you understand the process of conduction? If the conductors are of equal size, this is very important. If these are of equal size, the amount of charges distributed will be equal. Okay, if these two are of same size, if A and B are of two size, the amount of transfer of electrons will be equally distributed among A and B. This conduction is the simplest way of charging two bodies. Okay, this conduction is the simplest way of charging two bodies, that is bringing the conductors in contact or connecting the conductors with each other. The charge will flow from one body to another body and both the bodies get charged. Okay, only the metals can be used in the process of conduction. Metals are nothing but conductors, so only the conductors are charged using the process called conduction. So now we'll go to the last method, that is method method of charging by induction. Method of charging by induction. Okay, so we'll go to the method of charging by induction. In induction, what happens? We don't bring the materials in contact like this. We don't bring like this. In conduction we brought the materials in contact, but whereas in induction we don't bring this in contact. Now what happens in induction? Consider a metal. Okay, they are not charged. When they are not charged, we bring them in contact. Now both are not charged. Okay, this is also empty and this is also empty. They are not charged, but we put it on a insulating stand. Okay, this is a wooden insulating stand, and we place this metal ball on an insulating stand. Okay, these are not charged. Okay, these two are not charged. A and B are not charged. Now what I will do, I'll bring, see, these two are not charged. Now what I'll do, I'll bring a charged body near. I don't connect it, but I bring it very near. Say this is positively charged. Okay, one body, one positively charged body, I bring near to this conductors. Okay, I don't connect them, I just bring very near to the conductors. What happens? Now what happens? See, these are conductors, so there are free electrons in the conductor. I said in the beginning of the class, in conductors, along with the electrons which are revolving around the nucleus, we find some more electrons. Those are called as the free electrons. Okay, now what happens? As this is a conductor, the free electrons, okay, from this body, from body B, the free electrons from this body start attracting this positively charged body, because this is positively charged and electrons are negatively charged. So unlike charges start attracting each other, so the electrons from body B start to attract the positive charge. How they'll attract? See, here is that positively charged body. I'll draw and show you. This is a positively charged body. Now what happens? This is conductor A and this is conductor B. Okay, this is placed on an insulating stand. The electrons from body B start getting attracted towards this positive body, and these electrons occupy the place over here. They jump from B to A and start attracting here, but they cannot go out because there is a vacuum outside. They cannot go out. The maximum limit is the surface of the conductor. They come and stand over here. Now what I will do, they left the place here, right? See, we studied in the last class, when they leave the place here, the this is positively charged because the protons are excess over here, so this gets positively charged and this gets negatively charged. Now next step, what I will do, if suppose if I remove this, the body again comes back to the original position. They loses the charges. So now what I will do, I will keep this as it is. I will keep this positively charged body as it is, and I'll separate these conductors with a little distance. I'll separate this. Okay, I'll separate these conductors. The situation is still the same. The electrons are here, situated here, and the protons are situated over here. The situation is still the same. The only thing I did is I separated them. Okay, I separated them. Next, what I will do in the next thing, I'll write over here. I'll remove this positive body which I had brought in the first diagram. I will remove it now. So what happens? I removed this. Now the remaining thing will be one conductor with a negative electrons over here and one more conductor with the positively charged protons over here. Now there is no body, no, there is no another positively charged body over here. Now what happens? Now what happens? These electrons, okay, now these electrons start attracting the positive charges. Now what happens? These electrons try to go back to their original state. First they try to go back to their original place. Because there is a distance here, because there is a vacuum, they cannot come out of the conductor, but they start getting attracted towards the positive charges. Why? Because unlike charges attract each other. So next what happens? These electrons which were at the other end come towards this end, and the protons which were at this end come towards this end. Okay, come towards this end. So this is the fifth step. They were on the other side, which was near the positive body, and this was at the opposite side. Now there is no positive body, so they try to attract each other. Now what I will do, I will separate them little more. Okay, I will separate them little more. Now what happens? They because of the space they cannot get attracted towards each other. Now the same thing happens which we studied in the concept of this thing hollow cylinder. The electrons which were here start starts to repel and they move towards the outer surface because there are only electrons, and similarly the protons, the positive charge, they move towards the outer surface of the material. Hence, this became the charged body, negatively charged, and this became the positively charged body. So initially there was no charge in the body. By all this process, we charged the body. This is negatively charged and this is positively charged. So this is the method of induction. So today we learned about the methods of charging, that is friction, conduction, and induction. So friction is used to charge only the insulators, whereas conduction and inductions are used to charge the conductors. So this was all about the conductors and insulators, the methods of charging. And in the next class, we'll start with the Coulomb's law. Okay. So we'll end up the class here. If you have any doubts, you can message me, or you can call and ask me. Okay. Thank you.